What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So a few days ago we had a leak come out picked up by PC Games and an article here that we're going to take a look at about the potential performance of the upcoming Intel Lunar Lake Battlemage GPU inside the MSI Claw 2, which supposedly is going to be coming pretty soon in a couple of months here, potentially maybe like September or shortly after. So we'll be keeping an eye out on that. But this was interesting to see, so we're going to take a look at this article. We'll talk about it a little bit. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so jumping into the article from PC Games N here, I'll just go over the parts that really pertain to what I want to discuss in the video, but let's go ahead and get into it. MSI's Claw 2 GPU is nearly twice as fast as Steam Deck in this leak, which that's no giant feat considering that is basically what the Z1 Extreme falls under as far as performance, typically doubling that of the Steam Deck, but of course they're going to compare it to the deck being the most popular handheld there. The new Intel Lunar Lake Battlemage GPU is nearly twice as fast as the Valve handheld gaming PC in this Geekbench Vulkan benchmark leak. Benchmark leaks for the new Intel Battlemage GPU found in the MSI Claw 2 have started to surface, and this latest one appears to show that it offers nearly double the performance of the Steam Deck GPU. The forthcoming MSI Claw 2 is set to use the new Intel Lunar Lake chip, which has just appeared in a listing on the Geekbench results browser in the Vulkan test. And the other thing that we probably, there's a lot we don't know about how they're going to implement Lunar Lake into the MSI Claw 2, what it's going to be like for the performance profiles, the wattage, how are the thermals doing, and all of that. Because the original Claw that's out now, what I call the beta or prototype Claw, unfortunately, is a bit of a mess. And that Ultra Core Series 5 and 7, honestly, they're great in a lot of the laptops I've checked out, and multitasking and having more space for fans, thermals, and a higher TDP. But sticking it in a handheld, those cores the Core Ultras just don't perform that great. You got to bring the performance down too much with the wattage, and they don't perform well at low wattage, or you raise the wattage plugged in, thermals get kind of crazy, and even then you don't get the performance that you should out of them. They just really like power. So in theory, the newer Lunar Lake is going to take like 50% less power or something like that than the Meteor Lake that's out now in the Claw, and should help a lot with the performance, the thermals, and all that, and get us maybe closer to something like the Z1 Extreme. But anyways, I got a little long into that one. Let's go and continue on here. According to the purported Intel Lunar Lake Vulkan result on the Geekbench browser, which was spotted by Bench Leaks on X, the new chip gets a total score of 34,181, while the Steam Deck only scores an 18,513. And as we'll see a little bit later here, this gets compared to the Ally, or the Z1 Extreme rather, with its comparable results. That's an 84.6% increase when you step up from the deck's aging AMD silicone to the Lunar Lake chip. The new Intel chip, which is set to be used in the new MSI Claw 2, is faster across the board in the individual tests, but there are some notable areas that stand out. For example, the background blur and face detection parts of the test are nearly twice as fast on the new Intel chip, but there's not much separating the two chips when it comes to edge detection. One area where the new Battlemage GPU excels is stereo matching, where it hits a score of 137,865, while the deck hits 56,544. That's 143.8% performance increase for Lunar Lake. But the difference over something like the Z1 Extreme is going to be a bit different. But of course, comparing it to the Steam Deck, that's what we're going to wind up with there. So originally launched in 2022, the custom AMD Vanguard chip inside both the deck and the new Steam Deck OLED is now showing its age. Its GPU is based on the last-gen AMD RDNA 2 architecture with 512 stream processors and 8 RT cores. It's already been outgunned by AMD's new Ryzen Z1 Extreme chip, which is used by the Asus ROG Ally, and has a Radeon 780M GPU based on the current RDNA 3 GPU architecture. And yeah, there is a lot of difference in performance, but I still test the Ally, the Go, and the Steam Deck here, and I will be testing the Ally X, the next MSI Claw, and so on. But there's still something really special about the Steam Deck, and the performance they're able to pull out of that silicone, out of that chip, is still pretty impressive in a lot of games. The Steam Deck actually still has a good bit of life in it, but I do hope we see a new one here by next spring of 2025. At least for me, I'm ready to see that power jump, but in a Steam Deck form factor. All right, so as a point of comparison, the Ryzen Z1 Extreme in the Asus ROG Ally scores 35,534. So what, about 1,000, a little more, over what the Battlemage leak is showing. This puts it in the same ballpark as the new Intel Lunar Lake chip. AMD's top silicon is still slightly ahead in this game, but Intel is catching up fast, and the aging chip in the Steam Deck is being left behind. If this benchmark leak holds up to be true, then the MSI Claw 2 could have some formidable handheld gaming power under the hood. However, the bigger problem for MSI will be the user experience and Intel driver updates, with the first round of MSI Claw reviews giving a damning verdict on the new handheld when it came to bugs. So that's pretty much the article on that. And keep in mind, these are leaks and rumors, and there's a lot to wait for with more information when it comes to Battlemage and the MSI Claw 2 in general. I would have liked to seen even more performance coming out of Intel's next chipset for this. However, they have a ways to go from Meteor Lake in the first MSI Claw. That device, I'm sorry, is just such a mess. And even with all the updates, still has a lot of issues. And again, I just don't think you can fix the chip itself. Just wants more power. It wants more room for thermals and all that. Works much better in laptops than it does in handhelds. But I think there's a lot of hope with Lunar Lake coming and MSI Claw 2 coming, and apparently like in September, supposedly. So only like 5 months or so difference from the original Claw coming to Claw 2, which is why I wound up getting rid of my original MSI Claw and putting those funds toward the Ally X so I can cover that. Because the new MSI Claw coming out that fast this year already just tells me a lot about the original one and why we have so many problems. And hopefully what I will call the real MSI Claw that's coming out soon will do much better with this new chipset from Intel. I really want to see the competition. I like Intel partnering up with MSI and their other partners, working with a handheld gaming manufacturer and trying to make something that's going to work better there, get competitive with AMD, and really push the space, because I still think the handheld gaming, the handheld PC market is just starting. I think it's a huge brand new market that can really continue to take off. It's why I cover it so much here. I've always loved handheld gaming all the way back to my original Game Boy that I got in like 1991 or 92. I still have that Game Boy, but yeah, I love handheld gaming. I've waited a long time for handheld PCs to become something relevant, which they have in the past couple of years, thanks to the Steam Deck, the Ally, the Go, and a lot of others out there, and AMD and Intel pushing the technology. So I'm excited for the future and to see what comes here, but it has been a rocky start, especially for MSI and for all of them really, but we've come a long way. So Gen 1 is almost behind us, and we're going to be getting into the next generation of handheld PCs when it comes to 2025 and beyond, maybe a couple of them earlier like MSI, and it's going to be really interesting to watch and see what this market does. But anyways, guys, thanks a lot for coming and check out the video. As always, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.